I was physically abused, domestic violence, when I was married to the pastor. They told me, First Lady, just cover him in prayer on my daddy.
Someone was beating on you?
They said the devil is just trying to steal your marriage. Just cover him in prayer. And here's the thing. They come so rudely. Like, I'm not even talking to them. They'll come in the comments, and these are pastors.
Whoa. A pastor was physically threatening you?
And that's not all. You'll see, one day you'll see, you get that from Christians all the time. Baby, they told me to shut the HELL up.
All right, Dorian, because I know where you're at today, but can you give us a little backstory? What brought you up to this point where you say, you know what, yeah, I'm ready to start leading the boycott, because I know there's an origin story.
I was in the church for 20 years, married to a pastor, on staff. We had a congregation. I was also the praise and worship leader and an ordained minister. In 2012, 13, 14, I started asking questions. I went to seminary, and then I went back to my church and started asking questions about what I learned in seminary because it wasn't lining up. And then I began to get shunned and mistreated. And 12 years ago, I started deconstructing and started another spiritual path. I'm just tired of seeing our people suffering financially, emotionally, spiritually, in every single way. And the Black church is a huge part of that. I'm not saying all churches. The boycott is about churches, specifically Black churches, since that's the majority of my experience.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you're not telling no one to boycott the Lord.
I am boycotting churches, and we need to boycott churches that are not doing anything in their community. It's that simple.
If someone asks you right now, okay, in order to be on a list of a church to say you can go to this church, what do they need to do specifically in their local community? Maybe 3 things at minimum, 5 at the most. What do they need to do?
Define, well, a church that's doing something for the community where they're taking the actual money that is going into that church, and they are, of course, feeding, clothing. When you drive around the neighborhood, you can see improvements. When you are not just, oh, we went to visit the nursing home, oh, we went to go pray. People are putting in money. We want to see that money come out and actually do something, not just when there's a national disaster or hurricane, not back to school just for backpacks. Every week money comes in, so every week money should be going, if it's feeding people, whatever it is.
You say you still ordained?
Well, I don't go to church, so I didn't.
Okay. Well, let me ask you a question. You ever thought that maybe it's not for you to go to somebody's church, but maybe it's for you to have your own?
Not really, because that's another part of deconstruction. I don't believe in the God that was created by the church, that there's a God that's going to send me to hell if I don't love him and if I don't go to church. Well, according to the pastors, if you don't sit up under me, if you don't go to church, then you're going to hell. To me, church is here. Here's where I'm at. With everything I've seen in the church, with the lack of power that I've seen in the church as far as pastors and church folk, where's the healings? Where's the miracles? Since they say they follow Jesus, we don't even see that. That's a whole other story besides the church not giving to the community. We don't even see the miracles. They're supposed to be making disciples of Jesus. We don't see that. So to me, I question, especially the things that I learned in seminary, is any of that real?
So when you mention people, like, how often was your belief system guided by the Bible, though? Not what the preacher say. I'm talking about what's in the scriptures.
I wake up every day, and my conscious, my subconscious begins to guide me. What I would call my inner spirit, my inner self guides me. That's what guides me. I used to, of course, go by the scripture when I was in the church. Then when I came out, of course, I was still going by the scripture because it was still in there. But as I have evolved and I've grown, I don't base it off the scriptures. But here's the thing, the principles are still out there. You know, the principles that even atheists live by are in the Bible. And we know stuff in the Bible was stolen anyway. But people know, because I know atheists that treat people better than church folk.
My reason why I don't go to church is because I see the hustle of it. And it's more so about getting the bag instead of, preaching thus saith the Lord. And for me, it's like, y'all don't even call out sin and unrighteousness.
That's what I say. And like you said the other day, I was watching something and you said that you don't do cliques and you don't get into groups. That's just not your thing. And that's what the same thing for me. That's why it will be hard for me to go to a church, especially, and this is what really has gotten a lot of people upset. If I'm looking at a preacher who is extremely obese, does not take care of himself, that would be a stumbling block for me, because they're the main ones that are always telling me I'm going to hell. They're telling me all these things that God has said, but the Lord hasn't told you anything about gluttony and your body being the temple. And that's why when you say, would you be a leader? I'd have to be a leader, because I cannot sit up under somebody who lacks discipline, who does not have self-control, but yet you're telling me what I need to do with my spiritual life. And here's the thing. They come so rudely. Like, I'm not even talking to them. They'll come in the comments, and these are pastors. And one just did it the other day. They come in there, you're in error. You're a demon. I'm warning you, and God is this, and you need to be up under a pastor. But the Lord is not saying anything about your wide back. He's not saying anything about the choices that you make with your body, but you're worried about what I'm putting in my body. And so I feel like if you're going to address my spiritual life, I should be able to address your physical life. One of my core beliefs when it comes to spirituality, God, follow whatever is going to cause you to be the best version of yourself and love other people.
You know, I can't really even tell. I can't even think of the last time I ever said that to somebody. They going to hell. Like even people like Jeffrey Epstein, which you would say he would go to hell. I don't even say that. Why? Because I'm not God. I can't judge who going to heaven or hell. I can't. You know, the group of people that I have the most respect for in the Gary, I guess you want to say a religious entity, would be the Nation of Islam. I didn't grow up Islamic at all, but I'm gonna tell you why I respect them.
Yeah.
They have a strict program for the men, you know, for definitely the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You know, he wrote the message to the black man.
Yes.
And then, you know, you have the sisters, and they go through the MGT training, Muslim girl training, and all the sisters and brothers I met in the nation, or other Muslims I've met as brothers and sisters, they morality was so much different than a lot of these so-called Christians in our community. What is the worst message you ever received from a pastor, maybe even in a DM, about your current work about boycotting the church?
I wouldn't say a message. I would say a physical threat, where I had to file 3 protective orders against.
Whoa! A pastor was physically threatening you?
It was their children.
Their children? Well, okay. Why would their children threaten you?
Over a deconstruction post. I'm telling you, Phil. I'm telling you.
Okay, so they made threats against physically harming you or taking your life?
Physically harming me, my husband, and my child. Christians.
And your child?
Daughter. Yeah, and
your daughter.
That's all I can say. Now, maybe after it's over, I'll come back and give you all
I got you. So, I mean, last time I checked, in the Bible, they don't teach you to harm not people, not even an animal.
The same hands that they throw on the praise team was the same hands they was ready to throw over a deconstruction post. I was physically abused, domestic violence, when I was married to the pastor. They told me, First Lady, just cover him in prayer and cover it with makeup on my daddy. That's what they told
me. So your ex-husband was beating on you?
He was physically abusive. And they said the devil is just trying to steal your marriage. Just cover him in prayer.